Namaste, Shalabais. Today I figured we'd have a look at one way of looking at your shit. Um, there's plenty, but this is a way that has been with me for many years and that I find to be um, a very good one, a very practical one. And when I say look at your shit, it also means indirectly working on your shit. Um, so what we want to do when you want to explore your inner parts, your traumas and your inner brokenness and your abusive patterns and your avoidance and your whatever shit it is you find there. Um, you want to come at that with an attitude of love and acceptance, not with an attitude of this is wrong, I need to change this, I'm exploring this so that it can go away or that I can shift. And this is very, very important. And I said this even before I've started exploring and explaining anything about how to actually look at your stuff, because this is so essential. What we're doing in inner work is giving room and acceptance for what is there, not trying to fix. So I came across one method that I would say is also done in a lot of other approaches as well, but I was taught it in doing it in groups, either of 2 or 3. The beauty with that is that you have someone to help you be present, because when you look at shit, if it's uncomfortable, it's very easy to slip out and to get distracted. Your mind will start to wander on something else when you hit something you don't really want to look at or that's too challenging. And then it can help a lot to have someone there with you. So what you would do in such a exercise is that you would sit opposite one other person. I wanted to bring a mirror into this, but the angle doesn't work. But I would sit opposite one person, and then depending on what you want to explore or how you're exploring, you can either, this person can ask you a question, or you can have an open-ended introspection of what's going on. And in the beginning, it's probably easier to have questions because you have a little bit more to direction. While if you have an open-ended one, it's easy to drift off, and you might need some experience before you understand what it is I'm actually looking for and looking at. So an instance of that would be if my friend would ask me, tell me a way, way you love yourself. And then I would look inside and I would say, this is where the exploration comes in, where you really have to look with curiosity, with open-mindedness, with non-judgmental eyes, and really explore what is actually there. Not what my mind says that it should be, or not what my mind says that is there, but really listen to your body, your subconscious, your belly, your heart when you're answering such a question. Tell me a way you love yourself. And I would feel, and this is where a meditation practice really comes in great handy, because as I've gone through a few various meditation practices, for instance, a body scan is a really good way of being more tentative, being more sensitive to what is alive in your body. And through that, you can see, oh, what emotions are being awoken, what sensations are being triggered. Am I contracting when I'm thinking about this? Am I opening? And it's easier to get an answer from the body and from the heart and not from the mind. The same goes with other forms of meditation as well. That teaches you focus, teaches you perseverance. Um, yeah, it teaches you to be silent and to listen and not come up with a mental answer. So again, tell me a way you love yourself. And I would really feel in, and I would let the body and the heart answer. Say, when I respect my boundaries and when I express my needs. And that answer is coming. I can answer that from my head, of course, because I read that in some book that like, oh, that means I love myself or whatever. But it's really about letting the body answer, because that's where you need the shift to happen. You can, I'm going to talk some shit about therapy, but you can go to a psychologist and talk about your problems all day long, but if you don't really feel them, then there's probably not much shift going to happen. It's great to have a mental understanding of your shit, but it's even more important to really let to feel that, to feel it emotional, to feel it sensation wise. And when you're exploring like this, you can either use a timer, so you would set a timer of 10 minutes, um, and you would say, "Ah, thank you," and then the friend would repeat the question, "Tell me why you love yourself." You find another answer. Your friend repeats it. "Tell me why you love yourself." You repeat it. You need to dig and you dig and you dig and you dig and you dig for 15, 20, 30 minutes, or however long you set the timer. Another way you can do it is to just have an open-ended time where you dig until you find an aha. And that is why I say that you really want your body and your heart, your belly with you on the answer, because when you have an aha, that's where epiphany, that's where things shift and you release the old stuckness in your mind and body, and energy and what is stuck can start move again. And if I would come to that realization from my mind of like, oh, it's when I set boundaries, I'd be like, okay, then I guess I need to set boundaries. Compared to when I'm feeling that and feeling my heart saying, you need to set boundaries, you need to express your needs. And again, I want to come back to the looking with curiosity, because it's about listening to what the body, the heart already knows. It's not about coming up with an answer. And for that, you really need to listen. And the more you have an accepting and open mind, the better answers you can get. If you are there with a defense of saying, oh, but I already love myself, or whatever defense you have, these subtle voices from the body won't speak up. Another really great question is then, tell me a way you don't love yourself, and to explore those opposites. Or even better, if you ask, tell me a reason you don't love yourself. Because in most, I would say in all shitty behavior, and when I say behavior, not loving yourself is a shitty behavior, there's a good reason for not doing that. And if you're coming from the mind, you will get silly answers, mental answers. And if you listen to your body, if you listen with curiosity and open-mindedness, you might get, let's see, tell me why I don't love myself. And I will get, because it's sometimes really painful, emotional work to love myself. And that is actually doing a shift in my body and in my heart. And when you have done this and you have learned how to really explore and feel into the body and feel the answers, you can also do open-ended question where it's just like, what the fuck is going on? You can feel that there's something bugging you, but you don't really know what. But because of your meditation practice, because of your practice of looking inside like this, you can start to just listen to the body, listen to the heart, and you will get an answer of like, I said something that wasn't very polite, I feel guilty, or I didn't do my chores, or I didn't set my boundary earlier, whatever comes. Or there's some old stuff coming up that needs love. This reminds me of when I was 12 years old and my dad yelled at me or wherever, like, and then give room for that to come up and explore, what was there. And then I would say it's maybe more about going to inner child work, which is another way of dealing with your shit or working on your shit. What more to say here? Got a bit sidetracked. So let's see. We're in the open-endedness of things. Yeah, and you can also start doing it by yourself. And you can do these open-ended questions of just how am I doing or what's alive, and you can start also doing this in relation with others. Then you go more into circling or maybe nonviolent communication, ways of relating where it's what is alive in our connection, and it starts becoming this exploration of, when you look at me like that, I feel a contraction and a fear in my system. When you express your contraction, I feel compassion and love, and I feel this impulse to reach out and hug you, whatever. And you can start to really explore, wow, what is really alive in our connection. And this is really enabled through various meditation practices and the ability to be more subtle and notice these nuances. And what's so exciting when you're doing this in a relational way is that you can get so much of your relation behavior up in a safe setting, in a slow setting, where in everyday life you're running around and you have to interact and it goes fast and you're left afterwards with like, this felt weird. But when you're in a slow setting with this kind of communication and exploration, you can see, there's something that's triggered, there's a fear coming up, or there's a whatever happens in that interaction when this person does this. And then you get really time to see, okay, what is actually alive in me, not what are we talking about, but what happens with me when someone says something stupid or someone says something smart. What is actually changing in my mental and emotional state. It's a really really interesting, really rewarding exploration to do, and very challenging, and can be scary because it's very confrontative, and it's very easy to take on the story of the other one of being, oh, I feel contracted when you say that, and it's like, oh, but I didn't mean it like that, oh, but blah blah, and instead of being like, you feel contraction, how come you feel contraction, how is that for you? And to see, like, let whatever reaction is coming, let it be, and not trying to protect it. The self is the same as when you're exploring by yourself. Whenever you find something, of to let that reaction and voice be there. I have a nice example when I explored the topic of, I think, joy. Well, that was the general topic, and then the question was something of like, tell me why you're not laughing more, or something like that. I don't remember, but the answer that came to me was because I'm not funny. And I remember that because it was such a strong, it was such a clear, like, belief, a false belief I had around myself. And then instead of shoving that down and saying, no, I am actually funny because I do this and this, I just let that be like, I'm not funny. And then all of a sudden you could just like, I could just laugh of it because I could really let that voice be there and see that, hey, this is an old belief, or not even an old one. This is a ingrown self-judgment of myself that maybe it has been true, maybe not, but it's a self-judgment that has been stuck in my system. And it's not about telling me that no, that is not true because it's allowing that voice to speak out and say, I'm not funny. And then to really give room for that. And that's where your curiosity and open-mindedness comes, of not being like, I'm going to fix myself, I'm going to tell my inner self that no, I am funny. No, I'm just going to explore and say, I'm not funny. That's why I don't make more jokes or laugh or whatever the question was. And that is the key to this exploration, of being like, allowing what is there to be there, even if it's shit, like, because I hate children or whatever, and or because I don't respect women, I hate men, I find hands ugly, or whatever is there, to really loud and like, yeah, these fucking disgusting hands, why do we have hands? And really see, like, okay, what is it then, what's coming up with these ugly hands? And not being like, oh no, but hands can be okay, and da 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 da. No, fucking ugly hands, give that all the room that wants to be there, and let that voice that says, hands are ugly, let it be there. Yeah, some horrible examples there. um, yeah, that is really the key. I wish I got to before it was 20 minutes long, to really give that room, that voice that wants to, that, and you're struggling with that, whatever you're struggling with, because you are not giving room to the side you don't like, because like, no, I should like hands, but everyone has hands, and oh no, I have to like them. And then you have this inner conflict of like, but hands, they're actually really ugly, I hate hands. But then you don't allow that, and it becomes a contraction and a stuckness in you, until you can access that and be like, no, I fucking hate hands, they're disgusting, and they're useless and whatnot. And then the shift can happen. Yeah, damn, I wish that came up a bit earlier. Hopefully you stuck to the whole thing and got that important last few minutes. Yeah, that's one powerful way of exploring your inner self. May you all find your ugly hands and love them.